My dream is to become a hero. I know, kind of stupid, right? I get that you can't just snap your fingers and poof, you're in a cape with your first initial plastered over your chest. But let's face it, the world we live in could really use some heroes. It's like every day I come across some new sad story. Where's the harm in wishing for more sunshine? Anyways, I know heroes really do exist. I was saved by one. Well, saved might be an exaggeration, but I was a timid little squirt, and he was always there for me. He was just so darn cool. I wanted to be brave like him. I wanted to protect people like him. Eventually, my hero left our hometown to become a knight. If I was going to follow in his footsteps, then that meant I needed to take up the old helm and armor too. Wasn't sure if a weak crybaby like me would ever amount to much, but hey, whoever changed the future by getting hung up on the past? You probably already figured this out, but this hero I've been talking about? None other than my childhood friend, Lancey. And let me tell you, he's like something out of a fairy tale. Brave, smart, strong. Back in the day, all the grown-ups would call him a prodigy. If it wasn't for him, I might have never become the shining knight of Fiendrock that I am today. But man, do I still have a long way to go. I won't stop until I'm the best me I could possibly be. Here's a story from way before I became vice captain of the White Dragons. One day, I was waiting for Lancey at a harbor in Fiendrock. When hours passed and he still didn't show, I started to get nervous. The sound of the surf, which had been super calming until then, turned dark and whispery. Weird, but okay. Snooping around, I found out the true dragon Fafnir had returned. The royal powers that be were putting together a force to beat him. And of course, the person leading it was the captain of the White Dragons, Lancey. My best friend was about to march into the jaws of a literal fire-breathing lizard, and he was gonna do it without me. I couldn't let that happen. In a panic, I started back for the capital. So there I was, rushing along, worried half out of my mind, when I met the Grand Cypher's captain for the first time. Apparently, the crew was also headed for the capital of Fiendrock, so I told him to stick with me. More the merrier, right? Except, I wasn't exactly merry, and the captain could see that. Unable to stand it any longer, I spilled my heart out. I talked about the divide between me and Lancey, about how all I ever wanted was to be there for him, on and off the battlefield. But for every baby step forward I took, Lancey soared. I was weaker than him, ranked lower than him. I wasn't enough. And this whole Fafnir business had just driven everything home. Everyone had immediately gone to Lancey, asking him to lead the way, save the day. On the other hand, I didn't get so much as a backwards glance, so I was just some random foot soldier. But I didn't get to whine when my best friend was out there risking his life. I needed to stop feeling sorry for myself and put in the work so I could start feeling proud instead. Lancey's a born fighter and a genius. He's also human. The pressure on him is crushing. I had to get strong enough to support him. Hearing this, the captain asked if I wanted to join the crew. Of course, I would never quit the White Dragons, but maybe a temporary change in direction was what I needed. I'd run myself into a rut. New scenery, fresh perspective, all part of a healthy breakfast for a growing boy like me. So I took the offer, determined to go back to the White Dragons bigger and better than ever. But I digress. back to the Fafnir problem. All you really need to know is, it spiraled way out of control. The fate of the kingdom hangs in the balance kind of stuff. Thanks to Lancey and the captain, Fiendrock managed to find its way back to normalcy. And me? I'd been changed forever. Though we'd been fighting a dragon, I ended up learning a lot about people. Their strengths, weaknesses, what scared us, made us tick. Had some people pass out of my life and others come into it. My eyes were open to a lot of things, and not all of it pretty. But I'll take it. Because it's the sum of our experiences, the good and the bad, that make us who we are. Fast forward in time, and bam! Your boy Vane's vice captain of the White Dragons. Took big dreaming, a lot of hard work, and a hefty helping of best friend anxiety, but I got there. Now, don't get me wrong, rank, titles, all that stuff's just words, you know? What kid doesn't like getting a gold star? And this was a big, shiny gold star that said, "Congratulations, you're on your way to becoming a hero." Plus, now I got to be part of all the important security meetings. If Lancey needed help, I'd be the first to know. For once, I was feeling pretty confident in myself. Vice captains have it tough, but I was more than happy to do the work. It wasn't all smooth sailing, though. After a few months, some nasty rumors began circulating through the barracks. People were saying I got my job through nepotism, just because I was friends with Lancey. It was kind of a dark time. I've been trying to come up with things that I accomplished when I realized there were none. At least, nothing that I'd accomplished on my own. This whole time, I'd just been riding on other people's coattails. The captain, as always, lent me a shoulder to cry on, and we agreed to meet up again in a few days. But when the time came, two, burlier figures were standing beside the captain, Siegfried and Percival. They were there to spar with me and judge, once and for all, if I deserved to be vice captain of the White Dragons. I definitely teared up a little. These were two of the people I looked up to most in the world. They could take whatever I threw at them. My hopes, my insecurities, the lessons I learned. I put everything I had into that battle. And in return, Siegfried and Percival gave me everything they had. Fighting the two of them was as intense as you'd expect. But once I got over my throbbing calves and aching deltoids, I felt really lucky. I had good people looking out for me. They showed me how far I'd come, and I could go the distance. I went back to the castle determined to hide everything from Lancey. He had enough on his plate. But you know how best friends are. Trying to keep secrets from them is like trying to hide an onion in a muffin. He cornered me. So, with nowhere left to run, I spilled the beans. Told him how the rumors had drained my confidence, and I didn't feel good enough to be his vice captain. Or his best bud. I felt horrible. I had the greatest friends in the skies telling me they believed in me. And still, I couldn't believe in myself. Lancey waited for me to get everything off my chest before speaking.
Vane, I recommended you for vice captain because I considered you the most qualified. The motion passed because the king and the White Dragons felt the same way.
And just like that, a weight was lifted. Seems like all I really needed was to know my best friend trusted me. And now that we re-established this trust, there was only one thing left to do. Beat each other silly. We snuck out to the training grounds in the middle of the night and sparred until our legs gave out. Then, We lay spread eagle on the ground, looking up at the stars. Those little twinkling dots were so inspiring. They're out there, a gabillion miles away. But still, their light manages to reach us. My dream of becoming a hero might be far off. But if the stars can make the trip, so can I. So this next adventure began on a day in Zega Grande like any other. The sun was shining, the birds were chirping, and I was soaking up some rays after a pleasant morning of grocery shopping. That's when I heard it.
Long live the Blue Sky Knights!
Yes, the fierce cry of a child in its natural habitat. Enough to strike fear into the heart of any warrior.
I've never seen you around here. Intruder alert! Intruder alert! Knights, assemble! Cannonball formation!
They came hurtling at me, faster than the wind. I stood no chance.
We're the Blue Sky Knights, servers of justice and roasters of villains. Who goes there?
But all jokes aside, these tykes were adorable. Reminded me of my own days playing Knights and Dragons. With both hands in the air, I thought long and hard about how to respond. I for sure didn't want to pull out my usual, "I'm Vane, Vice Captain of the White Dragons." I mean, capturing a real knight while playing make-believe could be an awkward sitch for the kids. But it also wouldn't be right to lie. Then, a candle lit up over my head. I'm Vane, the wayfaring chef.
Wait, you're a chef?
That means you're an expert at brewing stews and baking pastries, correct?
I blinked. Hadn't expected such an energetic response. What? Oh yeah, and I've got the proof right here. I pulled out a bag of cookies, which may or may not have been meant for Vern and Lyria, but they'd understand, right? I'll bake them some more. Anyways, passed out the cookies, and in the space of a few bites, the tots were leaping around like it was their birthday. And yes, before you say anything, I do realize that bribing the future defenders of our sky with munchies might not have been the best for character building. But you should have seen their smiles.
You have some potential, Sir Chef. I'll let you cook for us as our square. I'm Skip, by the way, captain of the Blue Sky Knights.
We were on to headhunting already? These kids didn't mess around. I'm honored, Captain Skip. But to tell the truth, I'm kind of busy right now. Oh no. They were hitting me with the pout of despair and the eyes of the puppy dog. I bit my lip. This little game wouldn't take too long, right? Still, it has always been my dream to cook for the Blue Sky Knights. Squire Vane, at your service. I just didn't have it in me to rain on their parade. After dubbing me in a formal ceremony, Captain Skip raised his tiny fist in the air.
We got our chef! Next we have to search for a base. Split up, soldiers! We meet back here in 1 hour!
The rest of the kids responded with a rousing cheer, and then they were off.
Hey, Sir Chef! That means you too!
I saluted. Couldn't disobey direct orders from a commanding officer. Anyways, I still had time to spare. I was gonna find these kids the coolest base ever. Yeah, I was born ready. Captain said there's some good spots around here. Just gotta make sure they're safe. Whoops! Looks like this place is already occupied. Done and dusted. Now, let's look for safer real estate. More monsters. This is definitely not a kid-friendly joint.
Or nothing!
That was a workout and a half. I think I might be in monster territory. Man, Clancy and I used to love exploring the woods. Woohoo! It's a party up in here! But it looks like I wasn't invited. And now that that's over, back to the search. No monsters, perfect size and location? Wait, I think I see a path on the other side of that thicket. I bet it leads to Folka. Captain Skip! I think I found it! I led the kids to a sweet glade I discovered in the woods. It was right next to a big thoroughfare, so they wouldn't have to worry about monsters or getting lost. I mean, if I could find my way back, then anyone could. Still, the place was surrounded by some nifty bushes and trees that shaded it from prying eyes. All in all, I think I did pretty well. And judging from all the frolicking going on, the Tykes agreed. Captain Skip pulled out a handmade flag that he'd apparently just been carrying around and stuck it in the ground.
This land is now the hideout of the Blue Sky Knights!
And sure, the thought, technically knights don't have hideouts, flashed into my mind, but you can't expect kids to know that. Actually, you know what? These Tykes might be onto something. Maybe I should ask Lancey for our own secret base later. Anyway, for the time being, I was in what had to be one of the top 10 hideouts in all the skies. I found a nice, plush patch of moss and plopped down. It was a good day.